COP30 kicked off this Monday as Brazil's President Lula da Silva urged leaders to spend less money on war and more on climate. At least 8 people have been killed after a car exploded near the Red Fort tourist site in New Delhi on Monday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he wants to order 25 Patriot air defense systems from the US. COP30 climate talks began on Monday in the Brazilian Amazon as organizers and analysts frame this year's conference as the implementation COP. In this year's talks, countries must present updated national plans to fight climate change. As leaders from Russia, the US and Israel are absent this year, Brazilian President Lula da Silva urged world leaders to prioritize climate funding over war.
Que se os homens que fazem guerra tivessem aqui nesta COP, eles iriam perceber que é muito mais barato colocar 1,3 trilhão de dólares para a gente acabar com o problema climático do que colocar 2,7 trilhões de dólares para fazer guerra como fizeram no ano passado.
Attendees on Monday stressed cooperation, but complicating those calls is the US, where President Donald Trump has long denied the existence of climate change. The Paris Agreement aimed to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above the historical average, but scientists say meeting that target is now unlikely. At least 8 people have been killed after a car exploded near the Red Fort tourist site in New Delhi on Monday, according to police. The blast, which triggered a fire, damaged several vehicles parked nearby and left 19 people injured. Irfan was an eyewitness at the scene. He said that they heard an explosion and came running to see what happened, but didn't go close out of fear. Irfan recounted that they saw body parts on the ground as if they had been completely blown up. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed his condolences to the families in a social media post on X and wished a quick recovery to those injured. The investigation is being conducted by multiple agencies, including India's Federal Terror Investigation Agency. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that he wants to order 25 Patriot air defense systems from the US on Monday. Russian attacks have caused more damage to its power infrastructure, resulting in scheduled blackouts in most of the country's regions. Zelensky acknowledged that the Patriot systems are expensive and that such a large batch could take years to manufacture. The Ukrainian president suggested that European countries could give their Patriots to Ukraine and await replacements. Zelensky acknowledged last week that Ukraine had received more Patriot systems from Germany, as the German Defense Ministry said that Berlin has been Kyiv's biggest donor of the air defense systems. The Trump administration is not donating any arms to Ukraine, unlike the previous Biden administration. It is not known how many Patriots are in Ukraine.
The former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been released from prison. A Paris appeals court has ordered him to be placed under judicial supervision pending his appeal. The decision comes less than 3 weeks after he began serving a 5-year sentence for criminal conspiracy in a scheme to finance his 2007 election campaign with funds from Libya. The former president left the Paris prison in a car with tinted windows, escorted by police on motorcycles. According to one of Sarkozy's lawyers, being in prison had been very hard for the former French president, and his detention had caused him great suffering. Another of Sarkozy's legal team argued that Sarkozy would be safer out of prison than inside. The 70-year-old Sarkozy became the first former French head of state in modern times to be sent to prison after his conviction in September.
The trial of Taleb al-Abdul-Mohsen, accused of killing 6 people and wounding over 300 others in a 2024 Christmas market attack in Magdeburg, Germany, began on Monday. The suspect is a doctor from Saudi Arabia with German residency since 2006. According to the indictment, Abdul-Mohsen drove through the Magdeburg Christmas market on the 20th of December 2024, zigzagging at speeds of up to 48 kilometers per hour. If found guilty, Abdul-Mohsen faces life imprisonment for murder. A special hall has been set up to host the trial, with space for over 140 co-plaintiffs and 400 witnesses expected to attend. He has described himself as an activist who is critical of Islam and a Saudi atheist. He has voiced support on social media for the far-right Alternative for Germany party, praising it for fighting the same enemy as him. He also ran a website offering to help people flee his home country. The trial is expected to continue for several months under high security measures.
The European Commission and the European Parliament continue to work on the EU's next long-term budget. On Monday, the presidents of the two institutions met with the Danish Prime Minister, whose country currently holds the rotating presidency of the EU. The aim is to iron out differences. Lawmakers are particularly opposed to merging the common agriculture policy and regional cohesion policy into a single fund. A parliamentary majority believes this would dilute the European scope of these programs. The Commission is therefore proposing adjustments.
These proposals concern 3 areas. So you have the reinforcement of the identity of the common agricultural policy. You've got the strengthening of the role of the regions, and the last point concerns enhancing governance.
In concrete terms, the Commission is therefore proposing to introduce a rural target to ensure minimum funding for agriculture. It also plans to give regional authorities more say in determining how cohesion funds are used. In the next budgetary architecture, the cluster comprising agriculture and regional policy accounts for 44% of the total budget, estimated at almost €2 trillion.
Azerbaijan celebrated the anniversary of reclaiming control of the Karabakh region, marking a historic moment of the country and the whole region by closing the tragic chapter of decades of bloody conflict, starting a new chapter of peace and stability. President Ilham Aliyev celebrated the Victory Day as a momentous achievement for the country, which is breaking from its past, crediting the victory to strategic, economic and military developments, while highlighting ongoing reconstruction in Karabakh. Aliyev also highlighted Azerbaijan's strategic partnerships with Pakistan and Turkey as their servicemen participated in the parade in Baku. Speaking alongside Aliyev, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Azerbaijan's, quote, Karabakh victory reshaped the geopolitical balances across Asia and Europe, unquote, as Baku and Ankara are now rebuilding the diplomatic and economic relations with Armenia and for the region as a whole.
At least 4 people have been killed and 1.4 million displaced in the Philippines, where Super Typhoon Fong made landfall late on Sunday. The tropical storm, with winds of 185 kilometers per hour and torrential rain, passed through Manila by dawn on Monday, causing flash floods and landslides along its path. It comes just days after Typhoon Kalmegi caused at least 224 deaths, and the search for 135 missing people had to be suspended due to the new typhoon. Philippine State Weather Agency warns that a large portion of the country still faced heavy rains and severe winds, along with storm swells in coastal areas. Over 400 flights have been cancelled since Sunday, the civil aviation regulator said. The Philippines is battered by about 20 typhoons and storms each year. The country is also often hit by earthquakes and has more than a dozen active volcanoes, making it one of the world's most disaster-prone countries.
La galleria metteva in comunicazione l'arena del Colosseo con un settore dello spazio del Colosseo che ancora non possiamo essere sicuri potesse essere il quartiere dell'anfiteatro. Il corridoio coperto era rivestito da intonaci dipinti, da stucchi e in una prima fase anche da marmi, ed era sicuramente attraversato dall'imperatore e dalla sua famiglia, che arrivava così sul podio imperiale senza essere visto e come una sorta di epifania.
The lighting of this gallery is marked by two different systems: a warm light that indicates the path to visitors and enhances the beautiful marble of the walls, and a colder light recalling the natural light that used to seep through the holes on the ceiling.
This is my fourth time to the Colosseum. I've never been on the night tour, and I do have to say that it is amazing down there at night, an entirely different vibe than it is during the day when there are so many people. The night tour, you get to sort of feel the history a little more down there. You definitely, the quietness, the stillness, it is an excellent tour. I would highly recommend it.